So yesterday I read a BBC article about what is happening to our brain in the seconds of our demise. So they studied the brain of a person that is dying, and when that is happening, they found out they did an MRI test, I guess, on the brain of the dying person, and what they found out that there is a significant and very distinct electromagnetical impulses going through the person's brain. Well, they are not electromagnetical, but they're very slight and tiny um, neuron activity that is going on in the brain when the brain understands that it's going to die, and there is lack of oxygen going on, and they made some optimistic conclusions because of that. They are saying that it means that the brain averts pain of the death. They say that when the process of the death is happening to the brain, it actually starts panicking for some seconds. But then when the brain understands what is happening, and that the death is inevitable, it feels like it's emits some sort of well neurons or chemicals or activity to deviate from the pain of the death. Now there are also separate, and a part of that I heard, and uh, I've heard that the people who take the life altering drugs, or for example the psilocybin or the DMT, they do describe that experience of death, of dying, and they do describe it very differently. But essentially, what the doctors say is that when people are taking the hallucinogens, so those drugs that makes you hallucinate, your brain thinks that it is dying, and those hallucinations um, are the emission of that particular, I would say, activities by the brain, so that the death is not as painful as it is. But I do have my own theory about what is happening, and what I think is um, going on in there, and I would like to tell you what is my theory of dying and how it happens. So the most optimistic theory that could come up with is that when is when I was sleeping, and sometimes during my life when I was sleeping, I fell from the bed. I think something like this can happen to anyone. You lie in your bed, and it might be too hot or anything else, and and you're moving in your bed here and there, and then at some point you just fell off of it. And now when you are flying off your bed, when you're falling off your bed, you have a special organ and special liquid in your head that actually tells your head that you are now in the state of having no weight. So in the state of weightlessness, like if you would be in a spaceship, you would float around, and essentially this is your state when you are falling down. So your uh, your brain understands that it's falling, and so it first of all it wakes up. But before it wakes up, it gives you a dream where you are falling. So when I was falling from the bed and I was sleeping, I was having an active dream, and in the dream I was fighting with someone first, and then while fighting we were running in the building, and then I was running from this person, and then I ran to the roof, and we continued on fighting on the roof. And then the person kicked me, my enemy in the dream. He kicked me, and I started flying off of the roof. Now, this whole commotion, this whole fight, and the running around the building, it took some time. It took some. My perception of it was that it lasted for at least like 15-20 minutes, and then we got on the roof, and then I fell from the roof, and I woke up because I was falling from the bed. Now If you, I think that any person who slept and who was waking up suddenly could describe the same experience, where the dream is predicting your activity when you wake up. And it always bothered me because I how could my brain know that I will start falling from the bed if and give me the dream where I was fighting this person first, and then the scenario of the dream led to us getting to the roof, and then after we went to the roof, he kicked me, and I was falling, and this whole activity, this whole scenario, it it occurred before I was falling. So that means that my brain somehow knew I was falling from the building. Well, that's not true. My brain didn't know uh, that I'm going to fall from the building. No, instead, this whole activity, this whole scenario, it happened instantly. So it happened, and I saw it in my dream in the second while I was falling from the bed. So I perceived it as 15, 20 minute long scenario, but in actuality, my dream saw it. My dream did it in a second, in a moment, and it was in a moment where I was actually falling from my bed. Now, what I think is what's happening when you are dying is that right in the right in the moment when your brain understands that you are actually is going to be dead, and right at that second, this kind of time freezing magic is happening. So when the brain understands that you are dying, it freezes the time, it freezes that particular frame, and it gives you this well, everlasting and forever dream where you are perceptually stuck in this moment, in this particular second, and it never this second never ends. And when you die, you the time goes on. Everybody around you lives and goes on in this time, but for you the time stops at that moment where you die, and it gives you the dream, whatever dream that you might have. And maybe you can say that if you were a good person with good conscience, it gives you a good dream, and you are there locked in this dream forever, and it's a good dream, you're happy all the time. And if you're a bad person, you get you got a bad dream, and you are locked in this forever bad dream, which might some people describe as hell. And so you are stuck in this hellish limbo when you see the bad dream all the time. And I think that this particular uh, thing would make sense from the would make sense from the like conscious standpoint, because the brain doesn't know what it is not to be around, not to exist, and what it is to be dead. So instead of doing that, it actually saves itself and frees itself in this moment. So maybe everybody who died all the time in the world, they didn't they are just their existence stopped in the last moment of their death, and they see that dream forever, and the time doesn't go for them. They just stuck in that particular moment. So yeah, this is what I think what is happening, and thank you.